It's hard to imagine
We never use it.
a senior public servant, as AW clearly was, on horseback mustering sheep in the hill country out here. Yeah.
But I'm sure it was grandfather's Dowling jig. Yeah. I just had to metricate it, but because it was everything was in inches. Yeah, brass as well.
That's right. But my father had a saw, a bench saw, that I think he inherited from his father as well. And so Dad assembled kit set furniture. He didn't make things from scratch, but it's the same kind of attention to detail.
Yeah. Well, I think actually society generally had to be practical.
I was going to say, times, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was of the time.
Didn't rush down the shop and find it.
You had to fix things yourself in those days.
That's right.
Otherwise you never go anywhere.
I have a feeling that nail box that we gave our youngest brother Graham with number 8 wire, it was an old tea box or
It was made from that sort of
out of that
componentry,
timber. And section for nails, different size nails.
Oh yeah.
Number 8 wire and a brass tube for a handle. And we gave it to our youngest brother on his 60th birthday, and he's still got it. And he uses it for knives and forks.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
Granddad made that. Yeah, pretty sure he did.
He was clever.
Eh?
And you taken it to Aussie.
They liked playing cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Granddad would play patience with himself, of course.
On the table.
And he had a coin. Was it a florin or something?
Yep.
And he would play the Chinaman all the time. I don't know why it's the Chinaman, but perhaps Chinaman gamble or something. But he would keep playing, and I mean, money didn't change hands, but this coin was always there, going from one place to another.
To the Chinaman if he won, and back to Granddad if he won. Yeah.
And Florrie liked playing 500s, and I'm not too sure about that.
Don't remember that too
But I think she and her daughter Nairi, because Florence lived in Auckland with Nairi at 12 Kane Street for some time.
When was that? After AW
Just
died?
before she died.
On
She died up there.
Oh, okay.
At Norris.
Right.
And they would, I'm sure they played 500s regularly. Yeah, in the afternoons, and then Gran would go and have a sleep, and one sleep she didn't wake up from. But yeah, she had a good innings actually.
91, wasn't she?
No, you know, I don't
I
remember.
wasn't sure, but it was 90 something. Really?
They loved to drink.
A spot.
Yeah.
And if grandfather say, well, I've had one drink, and then Florence, he said, well, you can't fly with one wing, Florence. We'll have to have another one. And they did. Always had a spot at lunchtime, and always had a spot at tea time.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Grandma used to drink brandy. Yeah, she drank brandy.
But that was all, I think. That was,
Yeah, that's all. No, there's
One or
only
two
a couple
glasses.
of spots.
yeah.
And I think grandfather made home brew one part of it, Trev.
No, I don't know.
Don't you?
Out in the shed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the sort of out in the back,
Oh, yeah.
in the porch piece there. We used to make home brew.
Their little house had a coal range. That was the only cooking.
That's right. Yeah, the old wood range. Yeah,
And
the black one.
and a pretty small kitchen,
Jesus, tiny, right?
Used to get hot rods.
and the dining room table was in there too. She was cosy. But
Coal. They used to put coal and just put
Yep.
a bit of wood on it. Eh?
Tell me about your grandparents. You can really remember them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ken will. Yeah.
So what sort of people were they? Were they
They were good.
friendly?
So were good people. Granddad Mulligan was a gentleman.
Granny was an old bag.
And Granny Mulligan, she always used to say, I'll crown you with a pat sack if you don't do as you're told.
That's Florence.
Yeah, Florence, yeah.
Yeah?
We didn't know she couldn't lift.
Anyway, when Mum and Dad would come to town probably once a month, and we'd coast out Manahau way, and she'd make a cup of tea and there'd be biscuits freshly made and put on the table, and cakes and stuff. Now you kids, don't you eat those fresh biscuits, we've got the stale ones for you.
Here's
That's a fact.
Here's a line I'm pushing.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
get
that's
the
right.
Rancid
Yes.
shortbread.
That'd be right, yeah.
And she used to make those cheese sticks.
Yeah.
And they were as stale as
Yeah, that's right.
terrible.
Well, we didn't go often enough.
No, that's right.
So she was an enthusiastic cook, but
Oh,
not
yeah.
necessarily a successful.
Well, no, she's a good cook. It's just that she probably didn't have many visitors, I
She
suppose.
used to make a beef, like a casserole thing in a big blue dish with a jar, and you push the pastry up. But that was beautiful, eh? She was a good cook.
But, kind, I think. Kind, but
Yeah, it was hard. She was tough.
we were slightly frightened of her, I suppose.
She was tough on those
We were all
kids.
frightened of
No nonsense, lady.
Until the day she died, we were frightened of her.
Will you remember, Trev?
Trev,
Trev, would you remember the
I
time?
said to him, stop
That
being
Harold
an
Parsons
absolute
had a
twit. And
party
she
down
stood
there?
up and she said to me, don't you call my grandson a twit, he's not a pregnant fit. So I sat back down and never said another bloody word.
Yeah.
No, God no, she's bit all right.
Oh yeah, she
Yeah, she
was
could write.
tough. She was tough.
So you talked about AW doing the box in the morning.
Yeah.
Can you go over that again? He
Look, he'd go to the school at 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning and do all the school books, like, you know, the hills and all that sort of stuff. And then he'd finish at lunchtime, go home for lunch and drive back, and he'd go to Harold Parsons in the afternoon, do all their books for the trucking business.
Parsons was
Yeah, Parsons was a trucking business.
a trucking business.
Yeah, gravel, he used to do mainly gravel. Yeah, gravel and all that sort of stuff, crusher.
All
Had a crusher at the Terranigua racecourse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was well past retirement age by that
Oh,
time.
yeah, he was, yeah.
But he continued working.
He was active, old Brendan. Right up till the day he died.
I don't know why.
Because he retired from the public service
Yep,
in Wellington
that's right.
and went to the Bay of Islands,
That's right.
and they must have been up there for the better part of a decade.
Well, they were there during the Second World War, I believe.
Well, he was secretary to the treaty celebrations in
Because he-
1940.
Hmm.
Would you remember, you kids
He
remember?
ran the post office.
You remember the big long carved thing he had? It used to be on the
Oh, yeah.
on the mantelpiece. Like, I think
Oh, yeah.
Salmons or someone gave it to him for something. It had something to do with the treaty house.
Ah, gotcha.
I think it went to Uncle Ross anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, if I remember right. It was beautifully carved though. It was
Yes.
had a like a head on each end of it, sort of.
That's right.
It was about that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandfather was probably not well known, enthusiastic Freemason. And in Russell, there was a lodge building, and I think it's been removed, not sure, quite recently. But he was the master of that lodge, and I don't know what year, when it was built. So he placed the cornerstone. That was Freemasonry, you start with a cornerstone basically. When you build something, and it's still there. Keith Turnbull showed me the other day.
Is that right?
Yeah,
There.
yeah.
He was in the Sonic Lodge from Martinborough for years, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that interests me is that, again, thinking about the sort of person he was he was a bookkeeper. He was obviously a meticulous record keeper, could take minutes and
Yeah, I
So-
would say so, yeah.
so was he a very quiet sort of man? I think you said that he was gentlemanly.
Yeah,
Yes,
never,
Oh, yeah.
never raised his voice.
But he
I
loved.
never
He
heard-
had a
did you
great
do
sense of humour, though. All the same, he would say, "Shh, shh, there's a baby in the house."
Yeah, that'll be right.
And Graham was born shortly afterwards. So Mum was obviously pregnant, and we didn't know, you know. And things like that. He would recite this poem, remember Sonia Snell, to whom an accident befell? And it was the nearest to a dirty joke you could get, really, because he didn't swear or anything that I'm aware of.
Oh no, I never heard him swear.
Yeah.
No.
Dad
So-
tells the story. He swore once when they were in Wellington as young boys,
Yeah.
and he was wheeling concrete in a wheelbarrow down the steps, quite steep, where they lived, and it tipped over, and he said, "Bugger." And he said that's the only time he
Yeah,
ever remembered.
I never ever heard him
Yeah,
swear. No.
yeah,
No, he was a real placid fella.
yeah, I'll say.
Yeah.
But a hard worker, and I think physically as well, you know, like Crieff Street in Wellington, was it number 13 or some number like that? Still, the mailbox is still there. He built it, and our father and Raven and I went and looked about 2000 somewhere there. And the mailbox was still there, beautifully painted.
Yeah.
But these steps, that probably the same ones, very steep section.
Yeah.
For Crieff Street and all.
He would have carried the concrete
Oh,
Yeah.
down this hill, you know, in sacks
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
maybe a wheelbarrow.
so he was quite physical.
And
Mm.
yeah, that's
Oh,
still
he
there.
was tall, wasn't he?
Mm.
He was a tall
He
man.
was a big man.
Oh, he's a big man,
Really?
right? Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, he was.
But
Was he?
he
he
rebuilt the
Quite tall.
Oh yeah, very,
Yes.
very tall. Yeah.
rebuilt the woodwork on the old BSA Daimler. It was a metal car, but the framing for the door panels was on timber,
Ah.
oak and the likes.
Yeah,
And
made
he
a
actually
nice job.
rebuilt that.
Made a nice job that he did.
Yeah, with his spoke shave and
he was clever, right? the
and his little saw.
So he was gentlemanly. He was a very good record keeper, presumably meticulous records and neat handwriting. You talked about his
yeah,
handwriting,
It was beautiful. Eh?
yeah. But also good with his hands, making things, doing the.
That was
Coach
my
building.
memory anyway,
Mm.
because the old Daimler was a sort of a car really, because the metal panel work was on a wooden frame, and they're all funny shapes
Yeah.
to fit in, and they had hinges and windows that go up and down, and all those hard things on a car.
I think it was a.
So I was interested in whether AW was musical at all.
I don't remember.
No, I don't even remember.
Right.
A radio in the
Right.
car or anything like that.
He was a lodgeman. He was also a keen, enthusiastic member of his local C of E parish, wasn't he?
Yeah, they used to go to
Yeah,
church. Used to go to church most Sundays.
I don't
didn't they?
remember. We used to go to church with Mum and Dad, but I don't remember Granddad being there. That's funny that.
Yeah,
I
Flor-
was going to say, I didn't.
Grandma was
But
used.
okay.
Grandma used to go to church.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, she did.
But
Mum used to go with her now and again.
About Granddad.
but AW maybe not. So AW worked, paid and unpaid, obviously unpaid for quite some period of time. What about Florence? Did she ever work outside of the house?
No.
Not to our knowledge.
When she used to come to our place at Manor House, Mum used to all the holy socks, and Grandma would spend hours
Darning.
darning all
There
the
you go.
socks.
Ah,
Yeah, she'd done pairs and pairs of them, eh? Yeah,
There was
they'd
plenty
be
of those.
lined up for Grandma to darn, eh?
yeah.
I don't think she worked a day in her life, I don't think.
You work hard.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that was the role.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
house,
She was the
housemaker.
house.
yeah, she was looks after the house, and that's what she did. She was pretty good.
And of course, she lived with us after Mum died, didn't she? For maybe 1 to 2 years, possibly.
Yeah, I was at boarding school.
You were at
so,
boarding school,
yeah.
and she helped Dad look after us little fellas.
She made sure he had the right girlfriends.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Actually, one of the photos in
She was tough about that.
one of the photos I've got has your father, Topsy, and Florence, and the caption is something like even Grandma, I think it was, even Grandma approved.
Approved. That's it.
Yeah, well, that'd be bloody, that'd be A1 for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
just-
had 8 housekeepers from memory. I don't know whether she approved of any of them, but anyway.
No,
I doubt it.
no, she
Anyway.
didn't. She did the old
Yeah.
one, but that was how she was.
Did she drive?
No,
No,
No.
never.
no.
Never.